Growing up, I believed my sister Emma was my soulmate in this cruel world. We weren't just siblings, we were inseparable. She was 3 years older, confident, pretty, and endlessly charismatic. I was the quieter one, shy, thoughtful, maybe a bit too trusting. But none of that mattered when it was just the two of us. We shared a bedroom until she went to college. She used to braid my hair before school, sneak extra snacks into my lunchbox, and tell me stories when I couldn't sleep. When our parents fought, and they did, often Emma was my safe place. I remember clutching her arm during one of their late-night screaming matches, and she whispered, "It's just us, okay, you and me, always." I believed her. With every fiber of my being, I believed her. Even when she left for university 2 hours away, we stayed close. She called every other day, sometimes during walks across campus, giggling about her new friends or ranting about professors. She always asked how I was doing, how school was going, if mom and dad were still being awful. The truth is, I missed her terribly when she left. I didn't tell her that part. I didn't want to make her feel guilty. I wanted her to live her life, but I longed for those late-night talks, our shared secrets, her constant presence. When I finally joined her at the same university 2 years later, it felt like the stars had aligned. She was a senior, and I was a freshman, but she made time for me. We'd meet for coffee, she helped me with my class schedules, introduced me to her friends. Everyone adored her. Of course they did. She was Emma. And for a while, everything felt like it was falling into place. Until it didn't. It started with small things. She began canceling our meetups last minute. Group project, she'd say. Or midterms are killing me. Sometimes I'd see her tagged in photos out partying the same night she claimed to be studying. I tried not to take it personally. She was graduating soon, and I knew senior year could be intense. But still, it stung. She stopped calling as much. Our conversations became shallow, surface level. Sometimes I felt like I was talking to a stranger, wearing my sister's face. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a rainy Thursday evening. My laptop had crashed while I was working on a group assignment, and I was panicking because the file was due the next morning. Emma had always been the tech-savvy one, so I texted her frantically. She didn't respond, but I remembered she'd left her tablet at my place the night before. She'd been showing me a new series and forgot it on the couch. Hoping I could use it to log into my email and finish the project, I turned it on. She didn't have it password locked. I hesitated just for a moment before tapping into the browser. But as I opened a new tab, a string of chat notifications popped up on the screen, messages from a private group thread, titled Baddies Only. At first, I didn't look. I told myself to respect her privacy. But then I saw my name, over and over. Ugh, she's so clingy. I can't breathe without her asking where I'm going. She's like my annoying shadow. I wish she'd stop trying to be part of my life here. It's embarrassing. My vision blurred. There were screenshots of my texts, messages I had sent Emma about classes, about missing her, about trying to hang out. She posted them for her friends to laugh at. One message of mine read, "Hey, I baked your favorite cookies. Want to come by later?" She captioned it, "Desperate much." And then her friend Madison replied, "LMAO, she acts like a puppy you can't shake off. Emma, more like a stray I fed once and now can't get rid of." I couldn't breathe. The tears didn't come immediately, just numbness. Like someone had taken a sledgehammer to my chest and shattered everything I thought was true. I read for over an hour, scrolling through months of cruel jokes, snide remarks, and backhanded insults all about me. Emma hadn't just grown distant. She had mocked me, turned me into a running joke among her circle of friends. Every private moment I thought we'd shared, every vulnerable thing I told her, had been used for her amusement. There were even voice notes. Her voice laughing. She just doesn't get it. I love her, but not like that. She's so needy, it's pathetic. I dropped the tablet. I stared at it on the floor like it had physically hurt me. In a way, it had. That device held the truth, raw, unfiltered, devastating. And I couldn't unsee it. The worst part, I didn't tell her that night. I didn't scream or confront her or demand answers. I just shut down. When she finally texted me the next morning, "Hey, sorry I was swamped. Everything okay?" I replied, "All good. Thanks." And I smiled, like nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something irreversible. That week, I pulled away. I stopped initiating contact. Stopped trying to make plans. I didn't answer her calls or text unless necessary. I avoided the coffee shop we used to visit, unfollowed her friends, and buried myself in classes. At first, she didn't seem to notice. But eventually, she did. She cornered me after a lecture one afternoon. "Hey, what's going on with you? You've been weird lately." I wanted to scream, to tell her exactly what I had found, to read her those messages out loud and watch her squirm, but instead I said, "Nothing, just busy." She looked at me strangely. "You sure?" I nodded, and she let it go. Just like that. But I couldn't let it go. Because the betrayal wasn't just in the words, it was in the years of pretending. The quiet moments we shared, the promises she made, the late-night whispers of you and me, always. It had all been a lie. Or worse, maybe it used to be true. And somewhere along the way, I became inconvenient to her. Embarrassing, a joke. And she hadn't cared enough to protect me. Weeks passed. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I reread those messages in my mind like a sickness. I heard her laughter every time I tried to sleep. I saw her smiling face on campus and wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all. How could someone so loved be so cruel behind closed doors? She was still the golden girl, still adored, and no one, not even our parents, knew who she really was when no one was watching. And I had no idea what to do with that truth. Because part of me still loved her. And that was the most painful part of all. I wish I could say I healed quickly, that I found closure, confronted Emma, and walked away with my head held high. But real life rarely follows neat little storylines. In truth, I carried her betrayal like a stone in my chest, heavy, cold, and impossible to ignore. I kept hoping she'd come clean. That guilt would eat at her and she'd admit what she'd done. But she never did. She kept texting me casually, commenting on my social posts with emojis and fake affection, like she hadn't stabbed me in the back 1,000 times in that group chat. I started spiraling. Everything I did, I second-guessed. Was I too clingy? Too desperate? Too much? Her words burrowed into my self-worth like termites. I stopped baking, stopped making plans with friends. I dreaded every interaction, terrified that they too were secretly laughing behind my back. Because of Emma, my sister. My best friend could be so two-faced, then who else might be? That was the cruelest twist. I wasn't just mourning her betrayal. I was mourning the version of me I used to be when I still believed I was loved without conditions. A few weeks later, our parents invited us home for Mom's birthday. It was supposed to be a low-key family weekend. Emma and I hadn't seen each other in person since I found those messages. I considered faking illness. But part of me, maybe the masochistic part, wanted to see her, to look into her eyes and see if any trace of remorse was there. The moment she arrived, Emma waltzed in like she owned the place, gorgeous, glowing, carrying a designer bag and wearing that effortless confidence I used to admire. She hugged our parents, then turned to me. Double quotes, "Hey, stranger," she said with a smile. "Missed you." I nodded, my face unreadable. "Yeah, you too." But inside, I wanted to scream. Don't lie to me. Don't act like we're okay. Throughout dinner, she was her usual charming self, joking, sharing campus gossip, flattering our parents. Meanwhile, I picked at my food and faked polite smiles, feeling like a ghost in my own family. Every time she looked at me, I wondered if she was remembering what she wrote in those chats. Was she picturing me as that pathetic stray while she poured me another glass of wine? Later that night, while Mom was cleaning up and Dad was passed out in front of the TV, Emma came into my room. She sat on my bed like she used to, cross-legged, twisting a lock of hair around her finger. "Okay," she said. "What's going on?" I looked up from my phone. "What do you mean? You've been weird, distant. You barely talk to me anymore." I stared at her. Maybe I've just realized we're not as close as I thought we were. That made her blink. "What?" she said, half laughing. "Of course we are. Don't be dramatic." That word dramatic set me off. I sat up straighter. "I'm not being dramatic. I just see things clearer now." Emma's brows pulled together, and for the first time, I saw a crack in her confidence. "What are you talking about?" I hesitated. This was it, the confrontation I'd been dreading. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to meet her gaze. "I saw your group chat, Emma. The one with Madison and your friends. The one where you talk about me like I'm some parasite you can't get rid of." Her face went pale. She opened her mouth, but no words came. "I saw everything," I continued. "The screenshots of my messages, the voice notes, the jokes, the way you made me out to be some obsessed, needy freak." She tried, but I cut her off. "I trusted you. I loved you. You were my safe place, Emma. Do you even understand what it's like to realize your own sister has been mocking you behind your back for months?" She covered her mouth with her hand, stunned into silence. I expected an apology. I needed one. But instead, she said something I'll never forget. I didn't mean it like that. That sentence shattered me all over again. You didn't mean it like that. I repeated, my voice rising. How else was I supposed to take it, Emma? You called me embarrassing, pathetic, astray. That is how you see me. No, she said quickly, it was just, I don't know. Stupid jokes. I didn't think you'd ever see them. I stared at her, disgusted. So, the problem isn't that you said those things. It's that I found out. She had the nerve to look offended. That's not fair. You invaded my privacy, and you invaded my dignity. The silence between us stretched like a knife. She looked like she wanted to say more, but couldn't form the words. I stood up and walked to the door. You can go now. Wait, she said, rising. Can we talk about this? We are talking, and all I hear are excuses. She reached for me, but I stepped back. I don't even know who you are anymore, and maybe I never did. The next day, she left early, claimed she had work to do back on campus. She didn't say goodbye to me. I didn't care, or at least, that's what I told myself. But the truth is, I cried for hours after she left. I curled up in bed, hugging the old stuffed bear she gave me when I was 10, the one she won at a carnival, and told me would protect me from bad dreams. Now she was the nightmare I couldn't wake from. Back at school, everything felt different. I was numb, detached. My grades started slipping. I skipped social events. My roommates noticed, but I brushed them off. Then one day, I saw a picture of Emma on Instagram laughing with her friends, her arm around Madison, the same ones who tore me apart in that group chat. I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I opened my laptop and started writing. Not a letter to Emma, not a confrontation. I wrote everything, my story, my side, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the humiliation. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but something about putting it on the page made me feel like I was taking back control. That night, I posted it anonymously on a university confessions board. I didn't name names, but those who needed to recognize it did. The post went viral on campus within hours. Dozens of comments flooded in, people sharing similar stories, expressing outrage, offering support. Some even guessed it was about Emma. Others said it could have been anyone, because this kind of betrayal runs deeper than a single name. The next day, Emma texted me. Emma, did you write that post? I didn't answer. 5 minutes later, another message. Emma, you're trying to ruin me. Still, I said nothing, because I wasn't trying to ruin her. I was trying to save myself. That weekend, Madison posted a public apology, a weak, surface-level statement claiming things were taken out of context, but the damage was done. Some of their friends distanced themselves. One girl messaged me privately, saying she was in the group chat once and left because of how cruel they were. She told me she always admired how kind I was, and that I didn't deserve what happened. That message made me cry. Not because it fixed anything, but because for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel completely alone. A few days later, Emma called. I didn't answer. Then she sent a long text. Emma, I messed up. I know I did. I didn't realize how deep I hurt you until I read what you wrote. I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny, cool, accepted, but I see now how disgusting it was. I've lost people over this, and I don't blame them. I lost you too. And that's the part I'll never forgive myself for. I stared at that message for a long time. I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to throw my phone across the room. Another part wanted to call her and cry. But the loudest part of me wanted space. So I said, I need time. Please respect that. She replied, I understand. I'm here whenever you're ready. That was the last time we spoke for months. She didn't push, and I didn't reach out. I focused on rebuilding my confidence, my self-worth, my independence. I started therapy. I found friends who valued me for who I was, not what I could offer them. I even started a podcast anonymous of first sharing stories of betrayal, healing, and silent wounds. It turns out, I wasn't alone. There were so many silent siblings out there, just like me.
Time has a strange way of dulling pain, not erasing it, just softening the sharp edges until you can finally breathe without bleeding. By the time 6 months had passed since Emma's betrayal, I wasn't over it, but I had grown around it. Like scar tissue over a wound, I was healing, slowly, silently. I didn't check her social media anymore. I didn't ask mutual friends about her or linger on the memory of that tablet screen, lighting up with her cruel words. But every once in a while, in the quiet moments late at night, or when I passed the coffee shop we once loved, I'd remember. And it still hurt, but I was proud of how far I'd come. I was rebuilding a version of myself that didn't rely on Emma's approval. For the first time, I was learning to trust me. And it was liberating. That's why I was so surprised when I saw her again. It was a random Tuesday in April. I was leaving a mental health awareness event on campus, something I never would have attended. Before everything fell apart when I spotted her standing across the quad. Emma. She looked different, older somehow. Not in a bad way, just quieter. Her makeup was softer, her posture less performative. And for once, she wasn't surrounded by people. She was alone. She saw me. I know she did. But she didn't wave. She didn't smile. She just waited. I almost walked away. Almost kept moving like I hadn't noticed her. But I didn't. Because the truth is, no matter how much someone hurts you, if they were ever your person, a part of you always aches to understand why. So I walked over. Hey, I said, stopping a few feet from her. She looked surprised. Hey? There was a long silence. I wasn't sure if you'd ever speak to me again, she added. I wasn't sure either, I said honestly. She looked down at her hands, which were fidgeting with the sleeve of her sweater, something she used to do when she was nervous as a kid. I miss you, she said quietly. Not just the idea of you. My heart twisted. I wanted to say I missed her too, but I held my tongue. Can we talk? She asked. I hesitated. Then nodded. Okay. We sat on a bench not far from where we used to have lunch together. For a while, neither of us said much. Then she started talking, and for the first time, she was real. She didn't make excuses. She didn't deflect. She admitted everything, how she'd gotten caught up trying to impress people she didn't even really like. How mocking others became a twisted form of bonding in that group chat, and how she thought I'd never find out. I think I resented how much she still looked up to me, she said, voice thick with emotion. It made me feel guilty, and instead of facing that, I turned it into something ugly. I looked at her, stunned. She continued. I thought if I joked about it, it would feel less real. Like I could pretend I wasn't the kind of sister who betrayed the one person who actually loved me unconditionally. But I was. I am. Tears filled her eyes. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know I've changed, or at least I'm trying to. And for the first time since the betrayal, I believed her. But here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. Forgiveness isn't about making the other person feel better. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of what they did. I took a deep breath. I don't hate you, Emma. I never did. That's what made it so hard. She looked up, surprised. You were the one person I thought would never hurt me. And when you did, it broke something I didn't know could be broken. I know, she whispered. I've worked so hard to rebuild myself, to trust again, to find my own voice. I paused. And I won't let anyone, even you, take that away again. She nodded. I don't want to. We sat there side by side, to broken pieces of a childhood that once felt perfect. I forgive you, I said finally, but that doesn't mean we go back to how things were. I know, she said again. Maybe we don't go back. Maybe we go forward, differently. She stood up, wiped her eyes, and offered a small, hopeful smile. If you ever want to talk again, I'll be around. I nodded. She walked away, and this time, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt free. That night, I recorded a new podcast episode. Not a rant, not a revenge story, but a reflection. I told my listeners, many of whom had followed my anonymous post for months, that healing doesn't come in one dramatic showdown. It comes in waves, in shaky conversations, in trembling forgiveness, in deciding that someone's betrayal doesn't get to define your worth. I didn't name Emma. I didn't need to. I just said this. Sometimes the people closest to us do the most damage, and sometimes they surprise us with the courage to change. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing peace over poison. But healing belongs to you. A few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting instantly. It was from Emma. Inside was a simple note. You were always the better sister. I see that now. I hope one day I can earn the right to be part of your life again. Until then, I'll be cheering for you quietly and respectfully from afar. Always yours, Emma. I held the letter to my chest. I didn't cry. I just breathed. So here I am a year later, still healing, still growing, still learning what it means to put myself first without guilt. Emma and I aren't close. Not like we were. And maybe we never will be. But I'm okay with that. Because I'm no longer chasing a relationship that only existed in my head. I'm no longer begging to be seen by someone who didn't know how to look. I found my voice. and I'll never let it be silenced again.